There was another school shooting in America today. And yet we continue to elect people who don't care, who have no interest in doing anything about it. This used to be a country interested in solving problems. We believed in medical research and scientific research. We believed in eradicating diseases. We believed, yes, in keeping our children safe. We were a country that believed in finding solutions for problems, not for finding problems because we already had a solution. And yet here we are. We know exactly how to end school shootings, gun buybacks, making large capacity magazines illegal, making semi-automatic weapons illegal, taxing ammunition. We know how to solve this problem because many, many other countries have solved it. All countries have solved this except us. We know how to eradicate diseases because we've done it before. Polio, smallpox. We were extremely close to eradicating measles. But now, because of the people we have given power to, we are actually not just bringing diseases back, we are creating some that should have been eradicated but are now with us to stay, like COVID, for example. Recently, a man in California was diagnosed with the plague. We used to be a country that was interested in solving problems and protecting our children and protecting the least among us, the most vulnerable among us. We are no longer that country. And I think we really, really need to start figuring out what that means. Let's dive in. Good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of Mary Trump Live. I apologize for being so late. We had some technical issues, which I would tell you about, but they would make me look bad. Anyway, this has absolutely nothing to do with the technical difficulties, but I don't know, it just occurred to me to remind you that if you ever aren't using your computer, maybe plug it in. All right. I've said this before, but as some of you may know, I do not like talking about school shootings or mass shootings because of how deeply frustrating it is that they continue to happen literally for no reason. The people who have the power to stop them simply don't want to. So those people all have a lot of blood on their hands. School tragedies school shootings, I should say, are tragedies. Yes, of course. But they're also travesties because they are preventable and avoidable. And the people who have power to prevent them and make them avoidable refuse to do anything, whether because they're beholden to the gun lobby or they are just such deeply depraved human beings. I don't know, and I don't care. So I'm going to hand it over to Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. Minneapolis, of course, is where the shooting took place. And he had some choice words for those looking to offer thoughts and prayers instead of action in the wake of today's horror. Take a look.
These were Minneapolis families. These were American families. And the amount of pain that they are suffering right now is extraordinary. And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance. These are the sort of basic assurances that every family should have, every step of the day, regardless of where they are in our country.
Yes, that is extremely well put. And yet, I'm afraid it will have no impact whatsoever. That doesn't mean we don't keep trying. It doesn't mean we don't make it as one of the most important things we require of the people we elect is that they will promise to put an end to this insanity. What happened in Wisconsin reminds us of the importance of emergency assistance efforts, along with other things. But the Trump regime continues to retaliate against any government employee unwilling to go along with the regime's cruel and unjust policies. Most recently, FEMA employees have been unceremoniously fired. Here's a report from CBS News with more.
Critical of the Trump administration and now on paid administrative leave until further notice. Staffers were not given a specific reason, though, for that decision. The move comes a day after current and former staff sent an open letter to Congress slamming the Trump administration's changes to the agency.
FEMA suspending more than 20 employees who signed that open letter arguing the Trump administration had undone years of post-Katrina progress at the disaster relief agency. Multiple sources telling CBS News, by the way, it's been exactly 20 years since Hurricane Katrina. Now, Monday's open letter to Congress, known as the Katrina Declaration, said it was signed by 191 current and former FEMA employees. Some 35 of them attached their names, while the rest really withheld them over fear of retaliation. And some of the current FEMA employees who went ahead and signed their names received emails on Tuesday night saying they'd been placed on leave effective immediately and continuing until further notice.
Retribution, retaliation, vengeance, that's all this is about. Federal Emergency Management Agency is being understaffed purposefully simply because people who work there, who understand how this agency operates, were critical of Donald and the executive branch's response, the executive branch's mishandling of so much that they couldn't just let it slide. The people who work for FEMA care about helping people. They want to be able to help people in more effective and efficient ways. But if doing so means critiquing, giving constructive criticism to your boss, well, then guess what? You're going to be fired, and the agency you care about is going to be systematically dismantled. This move comes just weeks after the deadly flooding in Texas. And Texas is recovering very, very slowly, in part because of the guts to FEMA. Donald continues to do what would previously been unthinkable, all in the name of political retribution. Earlier this summer, the EPA suspended roughly 140 employees just days after they signed a public letter raising concerns about Donald's treatment of federal workers and his regulations on climate and public health. And what is this leading to? Well, already Americans' faith in government is being undermined to an unprecedented degree, but I think we can lay the blame for that at the feet of Ronald Reagan, who said, government is the problem. Government is us. It is for us. It represents us. It is comprised of us. We are in charge of it. It is not some separate hostile entity that means us harm. But this current regime wants us to believe, as Reagan wanted Americans to believe, that government is the problem. You cannot have any faith in it. You cannot depend on it for anything. And it should be destroyed. It's essentially what's going on here. This has been happening systematically and consistently since January 20th, 2025. And we knew this is what was going to happen. How did we know that? Well, Donald's campaign, even though they pretended it wasn't them, wrote it all down in a fascist manifesto called Project 2025. Every single thing in that manual was meant to weaken and dismantle our federal agencies in order to make us weak, in order to divide us, in order to disconnect us from any sense of belonging. Every day, one of those boxes gets checked off. FEMA was not the only agency facing firings this week. In a developing story, this afternoon, newly confirmed Centers for Disease Control Director Susan Monarez has been ousted from her role just weeks after taking the job. Monarez was not Donald's first pick. In fact, he chose her only after withdrawing his first choice, former Republican Congressman Dave Weldon, who faced criticism for his views on vaccines and autism. While the White House has yet to comment on the removal of the new head of the CDC, this marks yet another major turnover for agency heads under the Trump regime. Knowing how Donald has treated FEMA workers and attorneys at the DOJ and people at Health and Human Services and the Department of Education, I could go on and on and on. I don't think it's a question if this is yet another instance of political retribution. We see that operating in every aspect of this government. Under the guise of saving money or under the guise of trying to make things more efficient, remember Doge, it is simply a way to undermine our agencies so that more and more power accrues to the executive branch and the person ostensibly running it. Donald is systematically, and he's having a lot of help in this endeavor because obviously he's incapable really of doing much on his own. He's tightening his grip on every facet of our government, even the arts. And again, that he has a lot of help here. He has a lot of people in his inner circle. He's the heads of the agencies that are being dismantled before our eyes, the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court, the entirety of elected Republicans in Congress. All of them have a hand in all of this. And it is mystifying to me because what seems to be happening here is that Donald Trump, of all people, is working to reshape our institutions and indeed our government in his grotesque image. So back to the Kennedy Center, which, he made himself a chairman of the board because he knows so much about art and cares so much for aesthetic sensibilities. A lot of people have quit. A lot of people have been fired. In fact, the director of dance was fired recently for being, I guess, too woke. She was Black, so I guess that tracks. But there's a new director of dance who was obviously chosen because he is completely down with the Trump regime's agenda. So this new director of dance recently wrote a letter, and this, I hope you're sitting down, criticizing woke ballet culture. Like I did, you may be asking yourself, what the hell is woke ballet culture? Is there such a thing? Well, according to the new dance chief, Stephen Nakagawa, the rise of, quote, radical leftist ideologies in ballet, unquote, is cause for major concern. I'm concerned. I'm concerned. I did not know. I usually have my fingers on the pulse of all things woke, and that slipped right under my radar. In a letter to current Kennedy Center executive director, Richard Grenell, because that makes sense, Nakagawa wrote he'd grown, quote, increasingly concerned about the direction the ballet world in America is taking, unquote, and became distressed by the rise of woke culture at the Washington Ballet. I'm assuming he must mean diversity. I don't know. He also praised Donald. Yeah, well, that's a requirement now to get a job in this regime. And that praise was in stark contrast to the previous director of Downs, Jane Raleigh, who was fired last week for opposing Donald's hostile takeover of the Kennedy Center. Nakagawa, of course, has no real experience to lead such a department. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on your politics, right? He has exactly the experience required of him to be in this role. He is a hack and a sycophant. NPR reports, quote, neither Nakagawa's online professional biography nor the one sent as part of the Kennedy Center's announcement mentions any relevant experience he may have as a curator or as an arts administrator. It is unusual for somebody without that kind of experience to ascend to a management position at such a high-profile organization, unquote. Well, I mean, I guess the good news is by the time Donald is done with it, the Kennedy Center will not be a high-profile organization. It will essentially be somewhere that people go to watch, MMA and what's that other thing called? Ultimate Fighting and NASCAR races. And those, what are those? Monster truck rallies. So Nakagawa will fit right into that. I would like to think that if more people knew about this, I have a feeling that the number of people who know about this is vanishingly small, quite frankly, because we're talking about the director of Downs at the Kennedy Center. That is not going to be a headline in any national newspaper, although it probably should be, because we're not just talking about the director of Downs at the Kennedy Center. We are talking about the hostile takeover, the undermining, and the defunding of our arts, which is fascistic and goes against everything this country is supposed to stand for. It undermines everything it means to be human, really. To suggest that ballet, of all things, I mean, ballet has been around for a very long time. It is a classical art. I do not know in what sense ballet can be said to be woke, unless, again, it's just that, according to this ignorant, bigoted hack, the wrong people are performing in it. The wrong people are doing the choreography. I don't know, and I'm not entirely sure he knows, but he knows, Mr. Nakagawa, what he needs to say in order to keep this job and fulfill his own agenda, which completely mirrors a Trump agenda. Turn our arts into tools of the state and render them ineffectual. Now, what do I mean by that? What is art for? What is the purpose? I mean, as I've said many times, I believe our purpose is to be creative beings, to reach our best potential. Now, being creative doesn't mean being an artist. It could mean being a scientific researcher. It could mean engaging with art. There are countless ways to be creative. It could mean problem solving in a particular way. It doesn't have to be art, but the point of being human, I think, is to be our most creative selves, whatever that means for you. To engage with things that challenge us, that sometimes feel subversive and uncomfortable. Art does not have to do that. Art can be something we enjoy because it's beautiful and we marvel at what other human beings have done with paint and canvas, or words on a page, or clay, marble, or landscaping. Sometimes art is simply for us to revel in how human beings are able to make the world an even more beautiful place than it is. But not always. Sometimes art is violent. Sometimes it goes against the grain. And as I said before, it challenges us. It challenges our perspectives. It challenges our presuppositions. It challenges our mores. It doesn't have to be comfortable. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It has to push us to be more open-minded, more accepting, better. Donald, the Trump regime, everybody part of that regime wants none of that. They want us afraid, sick, poor, uncertain, isolated, and incapable of engaging with those things that make us better people. So we're not going to let that happen, are we? We are going to continue to engage in things that challenge us and make us better people. We are going to do everything we can to support the arts and artists, especially in these very fraught times, remembering, of course, that artists are struggling. They're losing their funding right and left. They need us showing up to support them in any way we can. And now we need some emotional support because it's been another one of those days. And again, I apologize for taking so long to get here. But it's been a week already. And as far as I'm aware, it is Wednesday. So let us breathe. Because again, it's been a tough day. We need an emotional support moment. And today's ESM is going to, I love doing this once in a while because it's so, what the video we're about to play is just simple. It's so fundamental. And I think it helps us tap into how necessary it is for us to be connected to the planet and everything it has to offer us. And that can be creative too. And it can certainly help us be more creative. So we are going to sit back, relax, keep breathing, and watch and listen to waves crashing on the shore. All right. I hope that helped reset. Let's dive into your questions, comments, etc. Okay. We have a new member, La Sylphide. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. New member, thank you so much for joining. Guys, give me a second, okay? I will be right back. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. You'll be able to see me, but I have to attend to something quickly. Okay. Sorry. It's literally been one of those days. And I mean, for many reasons, but I don't want to get into it, but I mean, I'm sure you all feel similarly to the way I feel about school shootings. I'll leave it at this. My daughter was about 10 when Sandy Hook happened, and we did. Yeah. Anyway, you understand. Regina, thank you as always. Comment: DOJ was unable to get an indictment on the sandwich thrower. Hope they are at least embarrassed. No, they are not. They do not do embarrassment. I'm sure they're up in arms. Yeah, maybe because it was he didn't actually throw a sandwich, he threw a sub. I don't know. They're incompetent idiots. I mean, trying to make that a felony, that's embarrassing, and they should be embarrassed. But again, they won't be because they don't care. They don't care. Pood, thank you so very much. Comment: love this community and the Merit Trump Media staff and courageous Merit. Well, that's overstating it, but I appreciate it. Thank you, and we're so happy to have you here. And yeah, the Merit Trump Media staff are the best. This is true. Pood again, member for 3 months. Thank you so much. Comment: time's a waste, and good people get busy with whatever resistance you can provide. We are at the if you can keep it point of democracy. Yes, we are. That's a bit of a quote from Benjamin Franklin. Republic if you can keep it. And remember, because a lot of Republicans will try to tell you that America isn't really a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. Well, that's a form of democracy. Oh my word. Can we bring civics education back to school, please? Starting in preschool. Phoebe, thank you so very much, Phoebe. Comment: I feel like we are not far from being the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale. Just wait until they begin to enslave us. Yeah, we are way down that slippery slope. The question is, are we going to be able to find some grappling hooks? We need more people paying attention. We really, really do. Jules plays Taps for Vets. Thank you so much, Julie. It's wonderful to have you here as always. That's awesome and very generous of you. Comment: good afternoon, Mary. Sacramento, California time, I think. Just want to thank you for the great content community, ESM staff and moderators. Your authenticity is so refreshing. I can't figure out how to gift membership. I only see 2 options: buy sticker, supercharge mods. Mods, if you could help out here, because I don't know, and I probably should, but I don't. But thank you, Jules. Julie, that's very kind of you. And hopefully we can work out that glitch. I mean, we have to be able to, because other people do that, and somebody must know. Phoebe, thank you so much. Comment with question rather. With all the shit going on, is it true that Donald feels it necessary to change the name of Cracker Barrel restaurant? I hadn't heard that, but yeah, sure. Like that's all they do is rile people up about unimportant things. It's just this culture war insanity is so out of control. And the thing that drives me crazy, Cracker Barrel's a private business. Cracker Barrel can do whatever it wants to do. They can make whatever changes they want. And you know what? Maybe those changes will bankrupt them because enough deconstructed white racists stop going to get their grits there. I don't know. But that's Cracker Barrel's business. Who knows? And yet, some people are told it is the most important thing going on in the planet right now. Not the fact that their children aren't going to be able to get vaccinated for measles, mumps, and rubella. Not the fact that their health care is going to be taken away from them. Not the fact that public education is going away. Not the fact, I mean, on and on and on. Nope. it's the Cracker Barrel logo because the radical leftists are trying to take over everything. Last I checked, I'm not the one saying, hey, instead of actually providing art to people, let's have MMA fights at the Kennedy Center. I'm not the one saying, let's put pro wrestling in the White House. They're doing that. They want to take over every corner of our culture. They want to supplant everything with the things they enjoy and nothing else. Although, by the way, I think it's kind of an insult to them. What? So people on the right can't enjoy ballet or opera or Faulkner? No, they're so limited. They only like these specific things. And I'm not saying it's limiting to like NASCAR or wrestling. I don't care. However you get entertained, I don't care. And actually, some of those things, I mean, maybe not NASCAR, but it's not my thing. Wrestling, again, not my thing, but you can't tell me that it's not really creative and it's not a lot of work. Wrestlers are very talented athletes. It's okay to enjoy that, but not only that. Or let me put it another way. If you only want to watch wrestling and nothing else for the rest of your life, cool. Don't force it down other people's throats, which is what they accuse us of doing all the time. It's maddening. Sorry, I went on like a mini rant there. Midas Cheryl, thank you so very much, as always. Awesome. Midas Cheryl again, thank you so much. Preference, ocean or mountains, inquiring fee. Well, okay. I'm going to add in desert there. So in my order of things, if I had to list in order, the sea, desert, mountains. I want to be in, under, or on the water whenever possible. I do love the desert. I like mountains. I'm just not a huge fan of forests, if that makes any sense. But any nature is good nature. Richard, quote, when truth leaves us, when we let it slip away, when it is ripped from our hands, we become vulnerable to the appetite of whatever monster screams the loudest. Man Mahatma, 2025. That is a great quote, and I want to copy it. Thank you for that, Richard. Susan, thank you as always. Susan knows how to gift Mary Trump Media memberships because she just gifted 5 of them, as she often does. So, Susan, thank you for that, and thank you for everything you do. Dodie, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Hi, Mary. Question. Do you think Donald is now into full psychosis? And don't you think Stephen Miller is a perfect subject for a nature versus nurture study? Since you have so many treats, here's Zach's fee for a litter for the treats to go. Thank you so much for that, Dodie. No, I mean, again, I'm not around him ever, so I can't say this definitively, but if he were in full psychosis, he would not be capable of functioning to the degree that he functions. Stephen Miller. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there are 2 different narcissists are created in 2 different ways and have 2 different underlying issues. You have narcissists who are deep down extraordinarily insecure people. And then you have narcissists like Stephen Miller who legitimately think that they're better than everybody else, probably because his parents told him that and never gave him any boundaries and lavished him with praise and that he certainly didn't deserve. So, yeah. So he was, and I mean, I'm sure there's always a nature component, but I'm sure the nurture part had a lot to do with it. He's just a vile Nazi. D, thank you so very much. My kitty crew demanded I send something today. Thanks, guys. Very generous of you. Julia is a new member. Thanks so much, Julia, and welcome. Mary, thank you as always. Just because cats, that is enough of a reason to do anything. Caroline, new member, thank you so much and welcome. Hazy Troop and Daisies, thanks so very much for that comment. Love you, Mary. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. Bus Girl, Canada is in the house. Elbows up, guys. Comment, another horrific school shooting, heartbreaking question. Can state governors ask their state National Guard to protect their citizens against ICE? Well, yeah, unless and until Donald federalizes the state National Guard, and then what do we do? Yeah, that's a tricky one. It's an interesting question, actually, but I need to think about it a little bit. Spencer, thank you so very much for that. That's excellent comment. Just wanted to say, as always, thank you for your attention to this matter, Mary. And thank you for your attention to this matter. That right there, that's diagnostic. His saying that, his writing that at the end of his posts. It's very bizarre. Rock and Steady, thank you so much, as always. Comment, shooting happened in my high school. Every child deserves safety. Hug your children. Always stay vigilant, David. Yeah. Like, whoever thought that we were going to get to the point where sending your children to school would fill you with terror on a daily basis? Jana, thank you so very much. Question, what do you think about Newsom poking fun at Donald? I think it's great. And I think more people need to do it. It's not the only thing. Trust me, there are many other things we need to be doing, but it has an effect. And the more people with very big profiles who do it, or platforms, I should say, the better, because the more likely it is to break through. And trust me, it drives him crazy. I know this from firsthand experience. Meta, thank you very, very much. Much appreciated. Stacy, 3107. Thanks for that. That's great. Comment, sending love to Mary Mods and this chat. Yes. And finally, in the middle of nowhere, wow. Thank you as always. That is extremely kind of you, and we truly, truly appreciate it. Comment, I worked in the hospital where Sandy Hook victims would have come. Sadly, there were no survivors, including the girl of a neonatal PA who is helping new life into the world while his would change forever. Alex Jones unleashed his followers, making awful even worse. Why? Well, sadly, because there are a lot of sociopaths in this world who either like causing people pain or don't care about other people's pain. They have no empathy. They have no compassion. They only care about their bottom line. And yeah, I mean, I guess if you don't have empathy, if you don't have the ability as a human to understand, or at least try to understand the pain other people suffer, I guess causing them more pain is an easy thing to do if it helps make you rich or more popular or powerful, I guess. Like, that's our government right now, right? Anyway, all right, this has been something of a day. So, sorry to start on the note we started on and end on the note we ended on. I wish we could have just played the ESM on a loop for a very long time. Hang on one second. Okay, gonna say something quickly. We do very difficult work here, right? We can't turn away. I mean, everybody at Mary Trump Media is very dedicated to this cause. So, like, we're not just doing this for extrinsic motivation. Sorry, for extrinsic reasons. We really care. We really care about what's going on in the world. We want to make a difference. And yes, that comes at a cost. But it's worth it. Because there's so much good in this world. There's so much unrealized potential in this country. And, you know, part of what makes what we do bearable, besides the fact that we're hopeful people who do believe deeply in this country and its people, who do believe that we are going to right the wrongs finally. We are going to turn this thing around. We also have you guys. Like, we know that every night I'm not just talking into the void, I'm talking to you. And you're talking back. And you're paying attention. And hopefully we're helping connect the dots. We're helping make things a little lighter when possible, knowing, of course, it is not always possible. So on the days it isn't possible, it's really important that we all remind ourselves that we are not alone. We are here in a community. I am not just sitting in front of a microphone, looking into a camera lens, speaking to nobody. That would be dire. That would be lonely. We are not isolated. I know we're not all in the same place. We're not in the same room. We're not all hanging out together at a local bar. But this is a community, and every single person in this community matters a great deal to us. We all matter to each other here. We are creating something very important here. And all of you are instrumental in that. So please, do not lose sight of that. Every single person here matters more than I can say. I get it. Sometimes this is difficult. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it's easy to forget that there are other people that we can rely on. We need to come back and remind ourselves what's important and that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel as long as we believe there's hope. And I promise you, there are a lot of other things I could be doing. Sometimes, to be honest, there's some things I'd rather be doing because, again, this is hard. But I do this because it matters and because I do believe there's hope. If I didn't have hope, I would not be here. And neither would you. But we are here and we're here together and we will keep coming back because we know what matters and we know we can make a difference. And I promise you, we are going to make a difference. All right, I am going to leave it there tonight. So thank you everybody for being here. I will see all of you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern for Mary Trump Live. I will see all of you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern for the next episode of Mary Trump Live. In the meantime, stay connected, stay hopeful, stay safe, be kind to each other, and be kind to yourselves. Good night.